Good afternoon. My name is Bonnie, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA Service Operations Insight Global Community Webcast. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent background noise. If anyone should need assistance during the call, please press *0 to reach an operator. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Mr. Stephen Sheldon. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our August SOI User Community Webcast. We should have a great presentation for you today. I'll keep it brief to let everyone else get to what they're going to be talking about. Thank you for everyone who attended Tuesday's open house, office hours, for SOI. That was really great. Thank you, too, for everyone from CA for answering questions, and we definitely want to do more of those going forward, and we'll be posting exactly when those are and some more details on them in the community as we go forward. And for everyone who hasn't had a chance yet to check out the new community and the format that it's all in, definitely do that as soon as you can and let us know if you have any questions. The water cooler community is a great place for you to go if you want to help understand what's new, or if you're new to the communities in general. A lot of good information there. And so today in our webcast, we're going to be having some great presentations from product management and engineering, and a brief discussion of CA World as well, where I just heard that Magic Johnson is going to be there. So that'll be great. So, Mitch, let's go ahead and pass it over to you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate it. And just to continue on where you left on the agenda, we do have some great stuff to show. But as usual, our eyes are a little bit bigger than our stomachs, so we have a lot of stuff to compress within the hour. We'll try to get through as best we can. Hopefully we won't be rushing too much. But as always, if there's any questions or any questions on whatever we discuss or additional interest, please feel free to reach out either to myself, Melissa, or Stephen as well, and we'll be happy to follow up with any of the things that we've discussed or we will be discussing on today's call. So getting right into it in terms of the product management update, I would just like to remind our user community that we do have CA Service Operations Insight 3.2 Cumulative Update 2 recently released. It's available now. And I want to take this opportunity to just touch on the details about what cumulative updates mean. And our approach right now is that we've adopted is we want to provide the ability for customers to be and keep as current as possible and provide small, easily digestible means by which they can get both maintenance currency as well as incremental value in terms of feature function in a very predictable cadence and manner. So cumulative updates are designed to provide exactly that, incremental feature function. They're designed to provide the maintenance as well as easily installed on any prior version, similar to the way you would apply any support patch. So in the CU2 or the Cumulative Update 2 update, we have various enhancements. As I mentioned, we have service ticketing performance enhancements, especially with ServiceNow integrations. We've done significant amount of work in terms of service discovery and improving the performance. We've got some updates in terms of process automation and a new certification for CA PAM. And of course, we've got, as we'll continue to do and focus on more of our integration or solution type testing. And included in this, for example, we have the certification of the new Spectrum release with the new 9.4 release of Spectrum, as well as the connector associated with that release. Again, all current maintenance is applied, and again, the cumulative update is designed for simplified installation and can be applied on any prior version of SOI 3.2, CU1, etc. Again, I want to touch on a little bit of the product development plan because I think it hinges on two concepts, release and update, and we'll get into that a little bit more now. So there's been some restructuring within CA. There's the Infrastructure Management BU, which SOI is a part of, but SOI is now in conjunction or operating in the same team as the Nimsoft BU or the Nimsoft team. And SOI continues to remain a strategic differentiator for the IM product portfolio. So the investment is strong in that, and we're picking up the cadence and deliverable strategies that similar to the Nimsoft line. So we do have, in terms of release, we'll have new features and functions with a published roadmap, which we'll talk about in a second, as well as, you know, our strong customer commitment, and we call that the update phase, which is where our cumulative updates are derived. So what that means from a development execution standpoint is that we'll always have two parallel development tracks, one designed for the update phase or the cumulative updates. The other is the other will help us establish a regular cadence for releases. So we'll have a cadence for major releases, and we'll show you that in a second, as well as a cadence for these cumulative updates to allow for better predictability and maintenance and incremental value currency. Graphically, or trying to pictorialize this, here we'll show the pipeline for the product roadmap and deliverable cadence. As you can see, in the left side of our pipeline, the things that we have delivered. In fact, we've started our execution cadence with 3.1. And we have in a quarterly deliverable, we've established 3.1, a service pack to 3.1, and then the advent of 3.2, and then the introduction of our cumulative update strategy. And you can see that at the onset of 2014, we delivered CU1. In Q2, we delivered CU2, and we will continue that cadence. Of course, as with any roadmap, our granularity for commitment is within half years. We'll follow this cadence, and we'll try to keep you updated. We'll try to maintain this cadence for quarterly deliverables, and we're on track for that. But you can see as we group or going forward, in terms of the green is our futures. And we'll have 3.2, we're planning, and we have CU3, and we'll talk about that. That's on deck. And we also have, in terms of our parallel development stream, we're ongoing development right now, focusing on both CU3 for 3.2, as well as the 3.3 version. And subsequently down the pipeline for 2015 and 2016, we'll continue that cadence. And in the planning right now, we're looking at the post-3 series, or the SOI 4X and beyond. So you can see that we'll have a quarterly cadence with respect to the update class, and we'll have an annual cadence with respect to the major version class. And again, it's designed for predictable deliverable cadence. It helps, designed to support planning, promotes the product currency, and I think it will provide a balanced evolution for our products as we grow and evolve it over time. Okay, again, the high-level roadmap, just to cover this. Existing, we have the 3.2. That's currently what we're operating in. Planned, what we have, and this is what we're working on right now, is the 3.3 version. And it'll include things like the Nimsoft, and this will include, this roadmap is high level and encompassing the base versions of the releases together with the update plans, because cumulative updates, as I mentioned, are designed to add incrementally feature functions. So we look at, we'll plan those cumulative updates throughout the year, and our roadmaps will be reflective or inclusive of what we're doing with respect to the base release as well as the updates. So in our plan, you can see we have 3.3. We'll have, since we're now tightly integrated with the Nimsoft team, we'll continue to evolve our Nimsoft Monitor support. We're introducing, or we have introduced DR with CU3. And we'll work with our integrations like Spectrum, and we have some additional feature functions like alert management enhancements and performance enhancements and improved reporting. Some of the things on this roadmap we're going to be highlighting for you today. In consideration, and this is what we're working on right now, we're starting to evolve and shape the 4.0 or the post-3X release train. And for future considerations, we're looking at things like simplifying the deployment, automatic service creation, and extensive amount of work in terms of being able to create product extensions, extensibility, performance, etc. So our goal going forward, or our strategic intent, is for simplification in terms of deployment and increasing time to value. I'm sorry, I had to mute. My other line came on. I didn't mean to be rude. But of course, with any roadmap, I have to show the disclaimer. It's like the fast-talking guy at the end of the commercial, so I have to show the slide and let you know that things are subject to change. But I think that we're pretty much on track with our predictability and our cadence with our deliverable strategy and our parallel development tracks, and it looks like we're going to achieve some good successes around that strategy. So now I'd like to transition into an engineering update. We talked about what's on the roadmap. What I'd like to do now is give you a little bit of an insight as to what's on deck. And we talked about our cumulative update strategy. What we're currently working right now is, as part of our parallel development, is a CU3. This is currently in development, and this is what's on deck and coming soon. This update will include the first productized GA version of the Nimsoft Monitor integration. So we'll have fully installable, supportable, performance and scalability tested, vetted, additional feature function, and we'll build on that integration over time. We'll also include disaster recovery support, leveraging our CA ArcServe replication and high availability software, and that's designed to provide customers with a non-cluster solution in terms of DRHA. We've also made some extensions to support the latest releases of ServiceNow, our updated EAM support for 12.5, and we do have a new simplified Catalyst container. Now, this is not really major feature and function, but as JP will talk about later, it's designed to significantly improve the supportability performance of the endpoints and the integration in terms of our connectors. It also provides a simplified way to install. There's less pieces to install when I'm trying to deploy my connector framework. Of course, as I mentioned, we always will continue to do ongoing solution validation testing that includes not only SOI, but with the various integration pieces, both CA and third party. We'll have our maintenance current, so this will be consistent with current with all our current support maintenance. And again, it's designed to follow this cumulative update strategy. Incremental feature function, maintenance currency, applicable to any prior version of 3.2 regardless of cumulative update installed. Okay, now I'd like to turn it over to something more exciting. I'd like to give it to Salima Adabai, who is one of our development leads, and she will provide a quick demonstration of some of the, just to whet your appetite with respect to what's coming in the 3.3 release, which is currently in engineering right now. So, Salima, are you there? Hopefully.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Great. I'm going to give you presentation rights and allow you to control the slides as well as transition to your demonstration, please.
Thanks, Mitch. As Salima gets started here, I just want to remind everyone if they had any questions about anything Mitch talked about, feel free to use the Q&A portion and we'll get those answered there. But go ahead, Salima.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to highlight some of the creative ways that we've helped solve our customers' problems. For example, we've had customer requests such as the ones you see on the screen. Instead of closing the alert, is there a way to update and show the normal severity in the console? And this would allow us to follow up annotations to be added to the alert by the engineers so they could manually close the alert after. Customers wanted to look at the alert, but they wanted to exclude the alert from the impacting the service. They also wanted to manage cleared alerts, have actionable items applied to the alerts such as escalations, acknowledgments, annotations, and operate on them basically as if they were still active alerts. They wanted to have a queue, alerts queue of this cleared alerts so that they could, after the MDR has cleared it, they wanted to hold on to the alerts for additional introspections. They also wanted to to check additional checks before the alert is truly cleared. And lastly, they wanted to have an escalation policy to automatically perhaps clear the alert rather than manually clear the alert in SOI as opposed to from the MDR. So we took all of these customer requests and into our think tank and came up with a creative solution that I think will help you drive your businesses better. So with that said, let me introduce the pending clear state. So this is a new configurable global mode, so to speak, called the pending clear mode, which is enabled through the admin UI and in the global settings page. Once you configure the pending clear mode, alerts that come in from cleared alerts that come in will be marked for pending clear before they are cleared. And once the alert is marked as a pending clear, it will not impact the service, and in fact it will be marked as an exempted alert. These alerts can then be placed in a queue or can be escalated, are basically actionable just as live alerts. A second clear on the alert will then actually clear the alerts as in regular non-pending clear mode. So let me just transition to my desktop.
Salima, I think it might be me, but I lost your desktop. Okay, now I see it. I think we're experiencing some WebEx issues. This might be a time where we could entertain some questions if there are any. Like Stephen rightly pointed out, my hope is that we would entertain Q&A subsequent to each of the sections. And I was remiss in not pausing after each of the updates. So if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask from either the product management, the roadmap perspective, what cumulative updates are, how do I get access to these, to the latest artifacts or the latest releases, this might be a good time to do that.
Mitch, one question did come in on the Q&A panel from Rick Williams. It says, what does marked as exempt mean?
So when an alert is marked as exempt, it means that it's not considered as inclusion in the propagation of status. If I can ask either Salima JP or Rathy to further elaborate if if there's any additional information they'd like to share. Rathy, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, Mitch, this is Jeff. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Rathy is also trying to get in. Yep.
Oh, just quickly answer that question. That it's the exempt means it won't impact service. So it's still there as an alert in the alert queue and so forth, but the severity of that will not be factored into the propagation, as Mitch said, which means it won't impact your service degradation if that CI that alert is attached to is in a service model.
I think we worked out the sharing issues.
Yes. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize.
Is there any, Selena, is there any way you can enlarge it potentially, because it is kind of small in the upper right-hand upper left-hand corner? If you could enlarge it anyway or not? Or is it maybe a function of WebEx itself?
For anybody that's viewing the WebEx, they can right-click on what she's showing and say View and adjust percentages that way as well.
Oh, Stephen, thank you very much for that.
That way everyone can customize to their own screen.
Okay, I've enlarged it a little bit. Hopefully that's better.
Great. Thank you, Selena.
So as I mentioned, we have added the pending clear alerts mode, which can be configured through the admin UI, the global settings section. And in here we have a cleared alerts setting. The enable pending clear alerts setting that to yes will enable the mode. I just wanted to mention, though, that this does require a restart of the SAM application service for it to take effect. And, of course, changing it back will require a restart again. So I'd like to move on to the console. I'm showing here a service, a very simplistic service with one CI underneath it, just for demo purposes. And I have several alerts on that CI. You'll notice I do have a critical alert on the CI, which is directly affecting the service. So if I switch to the topology view, you can see that the critical alert is impacting the service, and the risk is the service is severely degraded. But if I then go ahead and clear this alert, you'll notice that we do now have available properties for exemption and cleared visible on the alert console. You'll also notice that the nature of the alert is changed visibly. It's now a gray color to indicate that the alert is exempt from impacting the service. And if I switch here as well, you'll notice that the service is no longer red. It's now impacted by the next alert, which is the major alert. So if I switch back so you could get a better view here. Pending alerts can also be added to queues. So here I've created a queue of pending alerts, and the one that I just cleared comes into focus. And if we want to really clear the alert after we've analyzed it and perhaps annotated it So clearing it a second time? Oops, I'm sorry. And the alert is no longer visible on the alert console. It will be visible, though, in the cleared alerts history table. So the one that I just cleared is here. So before I go on to the next component, is there any questions?
Salima, what version of SOI again is this that you're showing us?
This is 3.3.
3.3. Okay, thank you.
This is currently in development right now, and targeted within this year.
Thank you. Just trying to tie together what you were saying, what she's showing now.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Mitch.
I don't see any other Q&A questions, but if any do come, oh wait, there's one. Dan Colelli is asking, when selecting pending clear, will it send a clearing to the MDR and SD tickets?
No, pending clear is only in the SOI mode. However, any cleared alert from the MDR will have a put this alert into pending clear if the pending clear mode in SOI is currently on.
This is Jeff. It's like an intermediate step, right?
Yes, correct. It's basically a two-step clear.
I think you're done with the demo. Can you just put the use case slide back up for pending clear?
Yes, certainly.
Yes, so just to elaborate on that question, I think the genesis of this was from these specific use cases. And like Jeff said, it was an immediate step. So the MDR would send the clear for the standard normal severity alert, but the customers wanted a means by which to do a little bit of additional processing. They wanted to know that they had alerts that were cleared and potentially do actions and operate on them as if they were still active. So they wanted these alerts cleared from the MDR not to impact services or their SLAs or et cetera, but they still wanted the ability to annotate them as Salima showed, acknowledge them, escalate them, et cetera. They wanted to be able to see these things grouped, so they would establish an alert queue for these particular things. And they wanted that additional step, as Jeff had said, an intermediate step before they would go in the menu and say, you know what, I've processed this alert, now you can really get rid of it and then put it into the alert history table, et cetera. So thank you, Salima. There's another question. Salima, can you see the question that came up?
Okay, the question is, can we have an option to select the color of those alerts? We would like to choose green instead of gray. Currently, there is no option to choose the color.
Okay.
And a few more questions as well. Do you see those?
Yep.
Okay.
Salima, you might want to read the question when you're answering. Salima?
Yes.
So I would suggest reading it aloud so we know what question we're answering.
Yes, sure. What happens if the alert is cleared by a domain manager? The alert in SOI is expected to be in the state pending clear. Yes, that's correct. If SOI is configured in pending clear mode, a clear from the domain manager will put the alert in pending clear.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, this is an optional setting, right? The people that don't use this workflow, it will work the same way it always has. This is for those that want the functionality that Mitch was describing, that intermediate step.
Are you gonna answer the questions, or should we hold these and move onward? Because there's a pause. I don't know if you're reading the question or you're doing something.
I think that was the only question that I see here.
Well, no, it is a continuation. What happens is the domain manager creates a new alert of the same kind. Does SOI switch to the state of the alert from pending clear to open, et cetera?
Oh, okay.
Would the cleared alerts from domain managers behave the same way, et cetera? I think what I'd like to do, Melissa, if this is okay, what I'd like to do is capture these questions and then respond directly to our folks in the user community, because we have so much more to show and we're a little tight on time. I don't want to lose the questions, though, Melissa. Is there a way that we can capture these and respond directly to our user community?
Yeah, absolutely, Mitch. You will not lose the questions. I would suggest you continue on with the presentation. The people that are not delivering a presentation can always answer questions directly into the panel while a presenter is presenting. So don't worry, you won't lose the questions. I would just continue on with the presentation.
Thank you, Melissa. So please, everyone, continue to ask the questions. Salima, can you move on to our next feature that we'd like to showcase?
Yes. The next feature we'd like to showcase is a way to update alerts within SOI. So our user community had So can you see my slide?
Yeah, the updates to alerts?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we see it, Salima.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, your user community asked for the ability to update the assignee, for example, automatically update the annotations, or go from have the alert reassigned to another queue. To meet all of these customer requests, we've introduced a update alert action. What this allows you to do is automatically enrich an alert using the escalation policy and action facilities. The properties that are available for update are acknowledged, annotations, assignee, and ticket ID, and the alert user attributes, including the new extensions, which I'll show you in the demo. So let me switch over to my screen again. Hopefully this will be easier than last time.
Just relax, Salima.
Thanks for showing us the live demo like this. Definitely cool to see it in person as opposed to just us reading about it in slides. We really appreciate it.
Sure. Okay. So I'd like just to set up the demos a little bit here. Let me just open up the escalation policy and show you what the new dialog for the alert action looks like. So it's very familiar to the other dialogues. We have the list of properties that have available to update. Notice the user attributes now have increased. So for example, you can set acknowledged automatically via escalation policy. You can set annotations. Of course, the runtime tokens are also available there. And as per any other action, you can enable and disable it. So I've created some actions predefined, and I've created some policies as well. So I'd like to set up the moving of the reassignment of alerts to another queue first. So for this particular escalation, I have a policy which triggers when the age of the alert exceeds 1 minute. And I've excluded service alerts from this. So when this happens, the alert will move into the address queue. So we can see that. And I'll send in an alert here. Sorry, on this service. Currently does not have an alert on it. Okay, so the alert just came in, and we'll wait a minute for the alert to go into the address queue. So currently it's not there. Meanwhile, let me show you a few other updatable properties. So I do have an escalation policy created as well that will update the assignee value as well as the annotation value. And that particular escalation policy triggers when I acknowledge an alert. Okay, I also had an email sent to myself when the alert moved into the queue, so I see the email coming in. I don't know if you can see that. Meanwhile, the assignee value has been updated as well as the annotations. So if I switch to my alert queue, I see that the alert is now in the address queue. I also have another escalation policy which is again time triggered, which says when the age of the alert exceeds 3 minutes, for example, move it to the urgent queue. So we'll just wait, it should be, looks like it just left. No, it's still in the address queue, okay. It should appear in the urgent queue in about a minute or so. While we're waiting for it, are there any questions?
So I have a question that came in from the chat window. There might be multiple warning alerts on a daily basis. If we need those warnings to be exempted, is it possible, or if that has to be removed manually from the queue every time?
No, you can set up an escalation policy to do so, as I've done here. So the alert has just come in. The age of the alert has exceeded the time that I had set, and it's now moved to the urgent queue from the address queue. Did that answer the question, Mitch?
I believe it did.
So essentially what we're talking about here, something that I can summarize, is that the alert queues are essentially filters on different properties of alerts for the people we want to look at. And we've just added the ability to, as an escalation, instead of sending an email or opening a ticket, to just put the alert into this special queue that means, hey, these things are old, they need urgent attention. That's essentially what we're accomplishing with it. Yeah.
Well, not to put a too fine a point on it, but it's actually more than that, because you can update other properties of alerts. So by updating the property of the alerts, we're moving them between queues, but you could also update annotations or assignees based on issue aging and other items like that.
Right, yeah, so the bigger feature, I'm sorry, JP, yeah, the bigger feature is that we have the ability to update properties of alerts as an escalation policy, but this use case that we were just demonstrating for the alert queues is a way to use that feature to reorganize the queue.
Okay, guys, I appreciate it, but in the interest of time and the user community, I'd like to move. We have plenty more stuff to show. So, Salima, if you could wrap up and turn it over to JP, that would be great.
Sure, certainly.
So the final exciting new feature we wanted to show off for Service Operations Insight 3.3 and present to you today is an improvement in the connector startup processing for the set of connectors that use the FQDN lookup function. One of the more popular SOI connectors that makes use of that function is actually the Spectrum IM connector.
Are you there?
And there are several others that are listed out here. What the FQDN function does is it's a connector policy function that is used to look up the DNS name of CIs by IP address during the connector transformation process, so that CIs coming from certain domain managers, like Spectrum IM, are sent to SOI with that important piece of information, namely the DNS name. And this helps SOI then correlate that CI with information coming from other domain managers in the environment. Often the processing of the lookup takes a long time and kind of slows down the connector startup. And it's even more noticeable in environments where there are a large number of CIs where the DNS is not resolvable for any particular reason. So as an improvement to SOI 3.3, we looked at this processing and made some optimizations using some caching and the processing of these lookups to greatly improve the startup time. So we figured, since watching a connector startup is not the most interesting demo, we would skip the demo on this, but instead provide some charts that would show the type of performance increases that you can kind of look forward to in SOI 3.3 with these types of connectors. So we wanted to show two charts, namely with a high percentage of DNS names being resolved in the data that's being sent from the connector to SOI, and an environment where there's a low percentage of DNS names being resolved, because like I said, the lower percent, a failed lookup takes longer to process. Each of these are tests that were run in an internal environment. They're apples to apples between the two versions of SOI, but because it would depend on the environment you have, the MDR, the domain manager, the types of devices, and other factors of how your environment's set up, your mileage might vary. So it's not as important about the exact minutes it takes, but use the minutes to show the tremendous improvement that has been made in the startup processing of connectors like the Spectrum IM connector. The charts are showing the startup time duration in minutes, and it's measured from when the user clicks start to start the connector until SOI is showing the connector is online in SOI and able to use that as a functioning connector. So in the top graph, with the high percentage of DNS names being resolvable, you can see that the time is very linear, and the improvement time is a multitude over each other, and that SOI 3.3, that green line, is much more performant than SOI 3.2 in this area. And then on the bottom graph, where a lot of the DNS lookups were failing, and that caused a very large overhead before, the improvement is much more drastic as the number of CIs increase. So again, that's another major addition to SOI 3.3. And again, the biggest takeaway you can take from this is that the connector startups with the connectors that use the FQND function, specifically Spectrum IM, we'll see an improved startup and restart time for your connectors. So with that, I think we'll turn it over to Jeff and Kevin from our engineering services team.
Thanks, JP. Just go ahead and pass me the ball, or push the slide forward, and I can start talking to it.
Yeah, let me push the slide forward, and then I'll pass it over.
Perfect. If you need one more, that'd be great.
There you go.
All right, so we're run behind, so I'm going to try to be very quick with this. So I thought we just wanted to spend a little bit of time to talk to you about what it is we do in engineering services, and give you a brief understanding of how that can help you. Essentially, we've been always known as SWAT, but our official name is Engineering Services. We are really the customer-facing extension of engineering. That's the way we look at ourselves. Is kind of the front lines for them, and as well as helping out customers. We're really focused on enabling you to be successful with SOI. If you've worked with myself or Kirk or Quinn or Kevin Meehan is on the phone, or some of our MIA and APG colleagues, Michael Bohm or Ben Chen or Liz Holzbrecher, you've worked with us in this capacity. And we really are kind of a backup for pre-sales and services if you have some complex situations out in your environment. We know SOI is a very complex product to deploy because it's focused on integrations from a lot of different places, a lot of data moving back and forth. So that's where we come in to kind of help out with that. Sometimes we'll get involved in doing some custom scripts and utilities around this. The architecture is designed around the fact, knowing that every one of your environments are different. I haven't walked into 2 customers that have the same situation as long as I've been doing this. Even though there are many similarities, there are also many differences. We've tried to build the product, engineering's tried to build the product to be flexible enough to work within those. And sometimes we get involved to sort of do some of these complex integration components. We are also, an incubation area for some new ideas. As we work with you, we're out in the field working with you, we see some of these things and we get a pretty good understanding of, in addition to why you're asking, what you're asking for, why you're asking for it. And we try to communicate that back and align with product management engineering and use that as a process to help push the product and innovation forward. So we wanted to talk quickly today about some of the custom integration scenarios we've come across out in the field working with you, and Kevin's going to give you one example of that. But what the driver for this is there are many different domain managers that are out there, and we only have out-of-the-box connectors for some of them. We've done, of course, the main products that CA has in its portfolio, as well as some of the most popular third-party domain managers like SCOM, for example, that are out there. But there's a lot more that exists in your environment, and we still, we want SOI to be that event integration framework that allows you to bring all of your data and centralize the management. And so what we're able to do, because of the way Catalyst and SOI are engineered, we're able to leverage the power and flexibility there to do some things to bring in these unique domains. And a lot of this is achievable strictly with our SNMP connector, if you can set traps, and modifying and understanding how to use connector policy, and that's what Kevin's going to talk about. We've done a couple things out there. We've done some advanced Nimsoft integration. Mitch mentioned before that there's a general availability connector coming out from engineering shortly that does some things. But we've also, we've been working with Nimsoft for a while now, and so our SWAT organization has put together a combination of a Perl script and SNMP connector to do some of this. And we've done some similar things around SystemEDGE as well within engineering services. And recently, as we've been working with some customers and some of this event management and doing a lot of these things over the last couple of years, we came across and saw a lot of patterns. And so we put together actually a separate utility that's kind of in a beta test mode at the moment with a few customers. It's sort of another little utility to help you accelerate your ability to bring other domains in. And we have some functionality around launching scripts to do CI discovery and providing a command line mechanism to bring alerts in. There's some similarities to what the universal connector is that you may have worked with, but it's does a little bit more than that, and it's built to be extensible and policy driven. So I'm not going to say much more about that today other than tell you it's out there, kind of give you an idea. These are the kind of things we're doing and how we're aligning back to engineering. But Kevin, and so the stuff that Kevin talks about, we're both very willing, and Stephen, you know, if you get some feedback from the community on this, if you're interested, we would be willing to do a more deep dive, you know, a full separate session just on some of the stuff that we're talking about today. So we can coordinate that, you know, depending on the interest that's out there, and Kevin and myself will loop back with Stephen on that to see if there's interest, and if so, we'll set something up, either on the community webcast or something out of band that's just a separate thing we'll make available to you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin, and he's going to give you some examples of how we've done some of this work with policy-driven integrations using the SNMP Connector.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll definitely talk about that.
Great, thanks, Jeff. So as Jeff said, in the interest of time, I'm going to keep this very brief. I want to allow time to Dave Hayward from marketing. But I wanted to highlight the SNMP Connector on this call and make you aware that this is, we talked a lot about future stuff that's coming out. This is available now. And for those of you that aren't aware of the SNMP Connector, I wanted to just highlight how powerful it is in terms of bringing in tools that may not have official connectors created yet. The SNMP Connector, extremely valuable tool to point traps from these domain managers and to process those traps, creating CIs and creating alerts. Here's just an initial slide that shows some of the integrations that we've been successful with at clients, and I want to quickly show the basic process of that. So just an overview of the SNMP Connector. So what is it in a nutshell? It's a generic data collection connector. What it does is receives traps from any SNMP capable product. It then parses through those traps and those varbinds and presents them to us in a form that allows us to, through SNMP policy, map them to USM model. And in mapping them, we can dictate how the CIs are created within SOI, and how the alarms are created in SOI. So in that way, it's extremely flexible. Basically, we hand you all the varbinds and all the OIDs, and we leave it up to you in terms of how you want that information presented. So it's a wealth of data, and it's a lot that you can do with it. So very quickly, kind of a step-by-step process of how do I go about creating policy for the SNMP Connector. Number one, we want to point the traps to the SNMP Connector. Number two, we'll review the raw trap data, and then 3 and 4, through the policy, we can map that data as we like. I wanted to quickly show a screenshot. This is right from a log file within SOI, and you can see, I know it looks like a lot of information, but if you kind of look through it, basically all the varbind key and value pairings are presented. The first one here is this overall summary, and as you go through it, you can see how we can map that data to alarms and make it meaningful within SOI. So the first is message summary. Down here I have some, towards the middle, some application information, Applicare, product, SNMP, enterprise OID. So I can take all this information and then map it as I like. And anyone that has done anything with connector policy in the past knows that there's really 2 halves of connector policy across all connectors. There's the half that does the CI creation, and there's the half that does the alert creation. So here, just looking at the CI half within the SNMP connector policy, the first top part is where I classify the incoming trap. So I work with clients that have 5, 6, 7 different connector policies. We classify typically on the SNMP Enterprise OID. From there, you can see the lower half here, I have my Applicare event class, and I have a parse here where I could parse out information from the varbinds, and right at the bottom is where I format, and that's where I map everything directly to the USM properties. I map the class name, I map the DNS name, I map the IP address. Next slide. So now that we have the CI created, we want to create the alert. So very similar. The lower half is the format. You can see I take actual OI values. I my pointer's not working, but in that lower half, I'm mapping the .1008 to message, the .1008 to summary. I'm mapping the .1, the .3 to user attributes. So it's a really, we created SNMP Connector policy within an hour for some clients. It's not overly complicated. And in fact, in the latest release of SOI, we've taken what we've done through the XML policy, and we've brought it to the UI to make it even easier. So here is a look at the UI, and you can actually create that policy, that alert mapping through the event policy UI. And here you can see I've done that here. The middle column has my varbinds, and basically we're looking in the SOI event store, and it provides a preview. This is how the alert's going to look with this policy in place. So I just wanted to, and as Jeff said, we could do a deep dive maybe on a future call, but I just wanted to let everybody know and make everybody aware of how powerful the SNMP connector is if you want to integrate a solution that supports SNMP traps. And with that said, I want to turn it over to Dave. I know we're running low on time, so Dave, I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay, great. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thanks. I want to make sure that if there are any questions, that they're answered. Okay, I don't seem to have control of the slides for some reason.
Yep. I just passed you presenter, but I can change it, Dave.
Okay, let's see what's going on here. It says I'm presenter, but it's not working. Okay, why don't you just flip for me, please? Okay, I'm not seeing them move. Are you able to move them?
Yeah, Dave, we see it on our side. At least I do. We're on the ROI side.
On slide 29?
Yeah. No, I'm seeing 27. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, this is Dave Hayward. I'm in marketing, product marketing. And, oh, I see it now, finally. Okay, so there's only a couple minutes left, but what I'll do is I just want to alert you about some really good case studies that were conducted for 3 of your peers. And you can actually read about these as well as see a short video introduction of these by analyst Dennis Drogset. So he's well known in the IT industry, and he did some extensive interviews of 3 SOI deployments. Let's try to move this to the next one if you can. Just hit it 2 more times since we only have a minute. All this information is available in the white paper, and there are 3 very interesting and very different deployments. This is an insurance company that has key applications that need to be up and running all the time for the thousands of different independent agents across the U.S. that need to access information from the centralized data center to do business. You can see they've got a very rich deployment of products, and you can see also the types of return on investment or benefits that they're getting through this. They have lots of services modeled. What you'll find interesting about the white paper is also not only what they're integrating, but how things are integrated, how this impacts and improves their operations and their different processes. And so there's lots of information in the white paper about that. So what I'm saying essentially is you can get some interesting tips. Not only on how to improve your deployments, but also how to find and express the benefit that you're getting from SOI to your stakeholders and your executives. So why don't we flip through here? We'll try to make these slides available to you too. You can see some of the great quotes that we're getting from the users themselves. So why don't we, in the interest of time, why don't we zip all the way to the CA World slides? So you'll find this information here in the white paper as well. It's a managed service provider and a healthcare and benefits processor. And at other times we can go through these, but you'll be hearing more about CA World in the next week or so. We'll soon be posting all the different sessions. Things are different this year in terms of the increased activity that we're going to have on the floor, in terms of demos and speeches. And we have just dozens and dozens of great sessions about all the products that you use beyond SOI, roadmap sessions, and a good number of case studies given by your peers. So why don't we just flip through these, and I'll give you a bird's eye view of what's going on. So this is kind of the new look of how things will be. A big executive area, meaning where you can have meetings with product management, development team, and our executives to talk about your needs. Let's flip the slide. Where SOI is going to be in what's called the Operations Center, and a big theme here is development or DevOps, really the integration of operational analytics to give feedback to application development teams so your launches of new application services are more successful and capacity is properly planned. So you'll find us in the Ops Center. Go to the next slide. And we're going to have presentations here as well as off the floor. Lots more presentations on the floor than ever before. A huge set of demos, and we have Meet the Expert bars, our Genius bar, where you can find people from development and product management and our engineering services team to answer your questions. So we've got one more slide if you take here. So this is what we call our mission statement, and the Ops Center, you'll see all these different products and experts for these different product areas. Unified Infrastructure Management, of course, is Nimsoft. SOI is down in the Service Operations Management area. So that's about it. I'm going to turn it over back to Mitch. I'll be sending you information. Look on the chat on the community today. I posted the URLs for that video as well as that white paper. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Okay, so that was a look at a little bit about the ROI. It was a little bit rushed because we ran short on time and Dave had another presentation he had to go to. But he did talk about CA World. I want to let everyone know that although we're beyond the top of the hour, that our folks from the CA side are available to take any questions, if there are any remaining. Or if there's still questions on the chat, we can and will respond to them offline. But we're happy to take any additional any additional questions now, if anyone would like.
And we can do either verbal or text questions, whatever anyone would prefer.
Yep. Bonnie, can you open the line, please?
To ask an audio question, press *1. Again, for audio questions, press *1 on your telephone keypad. At this time, there are no audio questions.
Okay.
I see a couple left in the Q&A that we can try to talk about.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So let me go through them. Get my window correct. Okay, here we go.
And actually, before we start doing that, while we still have most of the audience here, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for attending. If you're not interested in the questions, you can drop off at this point, but thank you. We hope to see a lot of you at CA World and on our next webcast and office hours. And we'll definitely work to get as much of this up online as possible from the relevant slides and documentation that you guys have been requesting. So until next time, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Salima, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still on.
Let's take the question where we last left off with Andre. So we answered part of his question. What happens if the alert is cleared by a domain manager? The alert in SOI is expected to be in state pending clear, and we explained that pending clear is an enablement setting. You have to intentionally set that if you want it enabled, and yes, if the MDR clears the alert, it'll move into that state. But his follow-up questions are interesting. What happens if the domain manager creates a new alert of the same kind? Does SOI switch the state of the alert from pending clear to open?
No, it would not. The alert would be, the pending clear would be staying, and then a new alert would come in.
Okay, great. Okay. Another question from Dan. Would cleared alerts from domain managers behave the same way? Salima, if you know the answer to that, I'm interpreting it as that if a domain manager clears the alert, we'll move into pending clear. Am I interpreting that question incorrectly?
That's how I would have interpreted it. Yes. So if the domain manager sends the clear, if SOI is in pending clear mode, it would behave the same way.
Okay, great. So just another point I'd like to mention. Priyadarshini asked a question about what we're showing now. And with respect to SOI 3.2 Cumulative Update 3, as well as SOI 3.3, these are releases that are currently in the development train. They're committed this year and will be delivered. So although they're not available for GA at this time, they will be shortly. Then there was a question, I believe an outstanding question from Andre again. Is there a way to get back an alert ID of the alert sent to the connector accelerator to be sure the alert is fully processed by SOI? So I'm not sure if Kevin is still on. This sounds like a question for Kevin.
Hey, Mitch. So this was the question with the connector accelerator, if it passes back the alert ID?
Yes. Did you answer that already? And if you did, I apologize.
No, I didn't. Is there a way to get back an alert ID?
Yeah, is there a way to get back an alert ID of the alert sent to the connector accelerator to be sure that the alert is fully processed by SOI?
Yeah, this one I may need to check with Jeff on that, but I can get back to Andre about that one. I'm not sure offhand, and maybe we can take this one offline, and I'd have to check with Jeff on that one.
Okay. And then there's another question from Dan that says, can we get a copy of this section or the entire PowerPoint? Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we post these for our user community?
We absolutely can.
Okay, great. And then Rick asks, have you considered building an SSH CLI connector? Interesting. I don't know that we currently have thought about that or have that on our roadmap, but that's something that we can look into. Dan asks, any screenshots of the SNMP connector examples in action?
Yeah, Dan, I can send you some information, and a question actually came in from Dan Colelli after that, asking if there was some additional documentation. And while there's some really good information in the SNMP connector PDF, Michael Boehm, who's on the call, I believe, has created a great document that really outlines very well how to create that XML policy that I was showing in the screenshots earlier. So I think that that's something that we can look into posting to the community site, and I think that would offer a lot of guidance to people that want to create SNMP connector policy.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of interest in the SNMP connector, a lot of questions regarding that. That might be another good webcast for the future.
Yeah, Stephen, Jeff and I were just kind of IMing back and forth during this, and we were thinking the same exact thing. So if we can set that up, definitely agree with that and be more than willing to do that.
Excellent. And we've been using the SNMP connector here as well a little bit. We're not quite in the complete enough stages yet to show anything for it, but in the coming months, I can put some screenshots together too for what we're doing with it.
Oh, that would be great.
Share those with the community in the forums.
I think we got all the questions. Stephen, do you think that we've missed any? Or
I've been looking through. I don't think so. I think that's all of them. That SSH connector is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any other unanswered ones.
Stephen, for something like that, would we recommend to post that as an idea into the community?
I'd say so, yeah. Any specific connector ideas that anyone hasn't thought of would be a great thing to post as ideas. And then we can see how many other people agree with those ideas by doing the liking function.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stephen, another thing in general that I was wondering if the user community forum would be a good place for is I'd like to get an idea about the connector usage. The connectors that our user community is most interested in, the things that they'd like to see they're most interested in seeing enhanced, or if there are connectors that they feel are missing, as well as connectors that they feel that they have no utility in. Do you think that our forum would be a way to solicit that kind of info?
Absolutely, and I think there are multiple parts to that. What types of things they're most interested in we can have as a poll, and then have a separate discussion area for what sort of things they think are missing.
That would be great. Okay, good.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, we can end the customer-facing portion of this, and thank you again, everyone, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stephen, as well.
This concludes today's conference call. Participants, you may now disconnect.